Hey everybody, in this episode of the Timeless After Show, we're breaking down Season 1, Episode 15, Public Enemy Number 1. Hey Supernatural fans, were you excited to see Misha Collins in this episode? We'll see. Find out.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Please, Chris,
we're not touchable.
Love it.
You can't touch us. We
Ladies and
bring
gentlemen.
down Capone.
Welcome to the Timeless After Show. Right now you're hearing to the score to the Kevin Costner film, The Untouchables. Lyrics provided by our own Chris
Can't
Howard.
touch us. We're bringing him down.
Chris will tweet out a link to his CD so you can get this and play it in your own car or listen to it while you're at the gym. What a great time. Hey, everybody.
Can't touch us. Sorry.
Welcome to the Timeless After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. We're quickly winding down to the season finale of Timeless, but we're going to break down this episode and get really jazzed for the season finale next week. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
If you're one of the 55
So sorry. That's me messing up. Alexis Torres. You can find me all over
Never.
social media at atorres890. I'm a little somber today, so
Those
I
are the
apologize.
shenanigans.
It's okay.
Yes.
Why are
It
you
was-
somber?
What do you mean? Why am I somber?
Because anyway.
What the frick?
What's up, guys? My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane, and I dressed up for our Capone episode.
No, you looked fantastic.
See
Is what you
Hair's
are.
waves and my
awesome.
curls.
Beautiful.
I'm glad you pointed that out because you look beautiful. Your hair is
Thank you.
gorgeous.
You know,
Yeah.
I tried for you guys, you the fans.
Right.
Look at that.
Yeah. And I'm Chris Howard at Chris Howard Live. I'm ready.
Look at that. Well, how can we not get started on this show then? So, ladies and gentlemen, episode 15, the penultimate episode leading into next week's season finale. A lot of cool stuff happened in this episode, which originally, I mean, as it was kind of going on, it was fun to look around the rest of the panel's room as we were watching the episode. A lot of just kind of like, yep, okay. These are events that are happening in this episode.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the reaction, like,
It was
Oh,
a
okay.
slow burn, but when it picked up, there were some nice little moments in there. That
I
was
liked
cool to
it.
see them
I
doing a
liked
time
it.
travel show finally. So we start off with Flynn in a church with talking to a priest, and I do like any chance that you get to humanize Flynn. I think is a welcome one because he's so
He needs it.
over the edge. It's nice to be able to at least see that he has some semblance of a conscience.
and it's just boring to have him be like this one tone kind of the bad guy. Like it's more interesting when you're villain, quote unquote. I mean,
Has texture.
in this world, yeah, exactly. Like has levels to him, and you're like, oh, okay, there's something more to him than just like what we know from our team's perspective.
And what I did like when he said to the priest, it's no matter what I do, nothing gets better. It just gets worse. And what if you could change the past, but you find out that if you could change history, does that mean that nothing is ever meant to be?
It's a very good question. But then that'd be, some people don't like the idea that something's meant to be your fate and you're stuck with it. So just depends
That's
on what
the
you.
underlying
true.
argument
Yeah.
here that we've had, yeah?
But then we get to see one of our favorite new additions to the show, Mr. Jake Neville from the NSA. Just a barrel of fun. Super exciting. And excited to be working with the team there. We also had a little moment between G and Rufus, too, where we've been waiting to kind of see them because there's been a lot of tension there, especially with Gia being trained to take over as a pilot for the lifeboat. They really haven't had a chance to really talk about what's going on, at least on camera. So it still feels like there is that. I'm still waiting for that moment for them to actually say, like, here's what I know, here's what I know.
Well,
Right.
he needs
the
to
deal is.
save her, though,
Yeah.
too. The more she knows, the more dangerous it becomes.
Yes and no, because it's like the more you know, like then they can get information out of you. But if you're totally clueless, like
But not just
you can't
information.
protect yourself.
If they feel like she's on their side, that she's on Rufus's side, or that
They're
she
not
has
gonna believe her. They don't care.
they should kill her then.
So it'd be better if she knows, because then at least she could try to act defensively.
And they could feel like they had something to get from her. To
No,
keep
not
her alive.
necessarily, because they just, even when she's like, I don't know anything, they're like, well, we don't believe you.
I
So
know,
it doesn't
I'm-
matter if she does
Yeah,
or not.
so she
For-
might-
it only matters for her to know, for her own like ability to adjust to a situation, knowing, oh wait, no, these people are crazy.
Yeah.
Unless they torture her.
Yeah, that too.
But a different thing, if she wasn't already kind of I'm not really big on the NSA, Mr. Jake Neville and Mr. Mason Connor, after this episode, I feel like she's strongly said, like, no, thanks,
yeah,
guys.
she's done.
I'm out.
I don't support the NSA. Yeah, that's...
But it was something that I had thought about, but I was hoping that our team would come up with this idea. But Jake Neville comes up saying, I'm tired of playing defense. I want to turn the tables on Flynn and be on the offense, which is like, yeah, that makes a sound strategy. That's the only way to really stop him. But his idea is to go back and kill his mother back in 1962 in Houston, Texas.
Why they gotta kill the mom?
Well, then you stop him
Couldn't
from
you
being
just have the
born.
baby be born and then kill the baby?
But they're Rittenhouse. They don't care.
I mean, that's true.
Then they should have just killed the baby. Because if you know he's going to grow up to be this person, kill the baby compared to kill the mother who will give birth to him.
No, because they're totally fine with killing
Yeah, they don't
a
care who they
female
kill.
than killing a child.
Yay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, but because I still think that's even a harder ask to tell him, like, go back right after she's given birth and kill that baby. I think that's...
Be easier. Because their argument for her being murdered is she was innocent. She's not connected at all. You know this child is going to be this person.
Yeah. I just think that
I
they
think it's
can't put
cleaner.
it.
Yeah.
They just can't put it on TV that they're gonna kidnap and kill a child. I mean, that just in that aspect. But I agree to a point of like, there could have been a different way of doing it instead of just like, let's just kill the mom and just go from there. You could have kidnapped the kid and had it grow up with a different parent.
Or do Wyatt's thing. Just have the mom not meet the same man, and it would be a different child inherently alone by that situation. So
Yeah.
Instead, no. They want to just go there and take care of it. And we have our new member of the tactical side of it, because you don't have to worry about, Rufus or Lucy killing her. No. We've got Sergeant Major Caleb Sullivan joining the crew, and a very prestigious tenure that he has on the ship. And then we also get Lucy and her dad talking. And I do like that it says, you're our own chosen historian. You always have been. And if she does this mission, he will make sure the next one is to go back and get Lucy. Or her sister Amy, get her sister. So, but I do like that, even though, I mean, a tempting offer, still there are too many strings attached by Lucy's dad for her to seriously consider that offer, at least at this moment.
And how do you know he has any truth behind it? Can he guarantee it?
No.
I don't think so.
So
She doesn't trust him.
yeah,
No.
good. She shouldn't. I don't think so. It's just like Emerald City. Just because someone promises something doesn't mean they can give it to you.
Wow.
I did like
Or
that.
on the
That's a
Emerald
very- that's a
City
very-
panel.
I do like the fact that there was a lot of Wizard of Oz references in this one as
Yeah.
well. That was really cool.
What I do like is we finally get to see something that was teased about in last week's episode, was in the previews, just them actually hijacking the lifeboat, doing
Yes.
it themselves.
Yeah,
Getting to
that's
see
cool.
Rufus trank Caleb there, knock him out, and go back to the present after he activated his little worm to go off there for Mason.
I love the worm. I
That
thought that
was
was
fun.
cool.
Yeah, it was a nice Jurassic Park little tidbit there of
Yeah.
like, instead of bite me. It was
Yeah.
great.
What was it? Eat me?
Or eat me.
Eat me, eat me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like that.
So we get to see now our crew has got their very own lifeboat, guys. Look at them. We got ourselves a lifeboat. And it was interesting that Wyatt decided the first mission that they should do is go back and get Lucy's sister.
Right? You're like, aw, yay.
Yeah,
It doesn't last long though.
Well, I didn't think it was.
yeah. Do you think that's I mean, certainly I can understand why, but do you think that's the smartest first thing they should do with the lifeboat?
Well,
No.
if you're gonna not have the lifeboat anymore,
Yeah, it makes sense.
yes.
Yeah. Because technically Wyatt already tried with his wife and it didn't work out very well. So in his head he's thinking, let's just move on and try a different
Yeah.
one. So
But does that, given the way, well, no, I guess because it's so weird now, because I feel like this timeline, it pretty much has every right to exist as the previous one where Amy existed. So who's to say that history would still unfold the way that Lucy wants?
I don't know about that.
No,
I
you
mean-
got to give it a go, though. I mean, if you're her, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, you have to try,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
But like Wyatt's, like she was murdered this day and try to prevent it. Lucy's sister, there's not
It's more
really a
complicated, yeah.
like, we change this one thing, she'll be back.
Yeah.
There's nothing that guarantees it as of right now.
Yeah, because Lucy's
Yeah,
plan
no.
was just like, we go back to Berkeley, they make sure they meet, because they say the moment they first met, it was love at first sight.
So they're just changing it more, rather not get her back, just make sure she's born.
Yeah.
Which is a little
So
different.
her sister had a different father? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why Lucy didn't disappear.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got
Mom
it.
cheated.
Got it.
Sort of.
Well, yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
But of course, before they can actually do this plan, though, we see Flynn's jumped and he's gone back to meet Al Capone. Look at him. And right away gives him the ledgers that would be used for his tax evasion case,
Wow.
as well as a letter from his accountant, just to make sure, like, yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool that Al Capone was like, what do I care about this? They're not going to bring me down for tax evasion. Yeah,
No
that was
way.
good because
Yeah.
until he saw the letter from the accountant, that was kind of good that they played it out that way. Because it wouldn't be that impressive if you
Yeah.
were him.
Yeah, and I do like Wyatt definitely kind of has stepped up as a leader for this one, in the sense where just telling the team, like, hey, we can't let Flynn just murder through time. That's madness.
Yeah.
And so, like, we got to stop him first, then we can worry about the other stuff.
And the one problem at a time.
Yeah.
It's good advice.
I do like that. But I do like Lucy saying that. It irritates me so much when you say that.
But we're seeing more and more of that of Wyatt. So that's Wyatt's role. That's his character blossoming, is
Yes.
becoming more of the leader.
And he seems so level-headed this time, too. Like, he was the calmest one of the group. Like,
Yeah,
guys,
I think the fact that
compartmentalize.
no,
Let's do
no,
this.
I think it's just the fact that he went through such a crazy experience and he kind of snapped that he
He
was
grew
able to
up.
have Agent Christopher kind of bring him back into reality of like, even though this terrible thing happened, we need to move past it. So I guess getting past that like weird grief of stage of grief, he was able to see clearly and be able to move on with his thing.
Yeah, especially when he told them last week that it's like, I realize now what my job is, and that's to protect you guys.
Yep.
So what's easier once you find out what your kind of your true purpose is, to kind of
Right.
like settle in and be calm, cool, collected about the whole
And it's
situation.
usually after a traumatic event that you
Yep.
gain new clarity.
So I think that's what sucks the most about the ending of this episode is that he stated in the beginning of the episode that he was there to protect them, and then someone got hurt.
Yeah.
So
I'm always very traumatized after every Timeless episode. that we
Yeah.
do. So
Or after every
after show.
cast, podcast here.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Remember that one I got hurt on and how personally you took that?
I did that. Guys, I changed my whole life after that. I wanted to be a dentist, but I gave up on that.
He's like, he got hurt on my watch.
That's right. So we do see that the team hops back to 1931, and they find that Al Capone is now there talking to the press. All charges have been dropped. Look at that. The cops have no case, so I'm a free man. Those cops are suckers. So all of a sudden they realize that Flynn is now with Capone, and history has definitely changed because this is the day he's supposed to be arrested. Now he's free as a bird, just walking around. So I do like that we finally get to meet the man. If you're gonna have Al Capone, you gotta have Elliot Ness. You go hand in hand, and so now we get Elliot Ness. It's okay. You Supernatural
Teeny tiny
fans.
cameo.
Misha Collins comes in as Elliot Ness, which
I love
had been
him
kind of
so
teased
much.
about for weeks. Like, hey, guess what? He's going to be on this episode of Timeless. And like, I think a lot of people were
So excited.
understandably very excited.
Oh yeah, people in
Yes.
the chat. I think it was Justin Toner, Ivan Soto, and a few other people were like, "What was the point of that?"
Well, but I think Chris mentioned it right before the show started. Like, it's cool to, I mean, a character like that or an actor like that, you fans get excited about, and you do have the idea like, well, nothing's going to happen to him because he's the guest star, and it's going to be
Oh,
really
makes
cool.
sense.
So
shock.
it's almost
No,
it's almost like
makes
that
it more
psycho moment.
shocking.
Yeah. I mean, again, I didn't mind what happened to Elliot Ness. I just wish that it was a little later on in the episode and not in the middle. But I mean,
Yeah.
but it also was that really cool thing of like that twist of like, oh wow, we have no help now. What do we do? And it really changed.
Plan
time.
B. Wait,
Yeah.
we have a plan B? Let's go. No,
we don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I liked that. It just kind of sucked that Misha Collins had to be the one that had to go.
That's my favorite thing is when there's unexpected stuff that happens, an unexpected death. Like when they just they're bold enough to take characters out like that and stuff. I think that's cool. That's what makes it
I
magical.
know. I just wish it wasn't Misha Collins. I wish it was a different person.
Like that's one of those you could have had somebody else play it.
Could have had
and then-
another
yeah.
awesome actor that we didn't know about go in there and go, oh, wow, he played a really good Elliot Ness, and then he died.
Then it made you more sad when he dies.
I know, that's why I'm like, there's
You're like,
nothing happening
meh.
in my heart and soul right now because I'm just really freaking upset.
Chat room, Casket fan said Ness in that punch though. I did like that.
It was
sucker
really
punch.
That
nice.
was nice.
Any more questions? Yeah.
It was really nice, especially since Misha Collins. I mean, I'm assuming also that with filming and things like that, because he films in Canada for. Well, no, I think Timeless also films in Canada. Yeah, so probably his filming schedule is probably all over the place because they are filming Supernatural season 12. And so I can imagine that he probably couldn't be on set for too long. But I did like the fact that usually in Supernatural his character cast fluctuates because sometimes he's usually not very what's the word? He's not very. There's not much vibrato. He's usually just kind of in the background, but he's also thank you.
Monotone almost too.
Yeah, and this one he was able to. I mean, he's already a really great actor, but it's just nice to see him in a different Kripke show where he's able to just kind of be a different character. Still monotone to a point, but like he
was more lively.
He had moxie, which is great.
Moxie.
So yeah.
Because the beginning, I'd say when Cass's character introduced it, cool, because he's new to this world in Lamonto. So I agree. It was cool to see him be a little more like fun.
And I believe,
or energetic.
Yeah, and I believe if Supernatural fans who are watching, if you can correct me, that would be great, because I believe we actually did have an Elliot Ness episode in Supernatural at one point where Dean went back in time for some odd reason I can't remember. So I apologize that I can't remember from like season 7. But like, yeah. So I think Elliot Ness also died in that episode, maybe. So I thought that was kind of interesting that they kind of brought that back, because I don't think Kripke was working on that season. I don't think. So.
And then apparently a lot of people are talking about the scar for Capone and wondering on how accurate it was. And
I believe in pictures.
Some people are saying it's true, like he got in the war, but the show took the way of that's not true.
But did they call Capone Scarface?
Yeah, that was the nickname.
Yeah,
That was his nickname in real life.
And that's what they were trying to tease.
Yeah.
During
Don't
the
say
TV show.
it.
Don't
Yeah.
say it. And I was like, I don't know if is there like
probably
a thing?
don't have,
Like
they probably don't have
the
rights to that.
say it?
Yeah, it's probably trademarked by now.
Yeah, I don't know.
So that's kind of cool.
I feel like after
that they gave it a story behind it, because that might not be true, but it's a believable one. We go,
I
okay,
agree.
cool.
No, very true. I think like other than the pilot episode with the Hindenburg, I feel like this is probably the one that has like the most impact in terms of history, where you're killing Elliot Ness 26 years before he's supposed to die. You're killing Al Capone way before he's supposed to die in prison, syphilis and all that.
Without caring about the ramifications in our timeline as we know
But
it.
I also like the fact that it showed that he was also kind of, because I believe he also had, because you said he had syphilis, but he also had dementia in his early sentence also. So it also kind of showed how he was kind of already on that tipping point of going crazy as well.
Who was this?
Capone.
Al Capone.
Capone.
Yeah.
He had syphilis
How
and
old
dementia.
did he die?
No kidding. How the hell did he get
We're getting the
syphilis
history
in that
for you guys.
time frame?
He was 48.
Yeah, you
he
don't put a
died.
helmet on
That
that soldier,
Yeah.
Chris.
I mean, but also people didn't. Wow. Also, people didn't really live that long back then either. I think as well.
But okay. All right.
That's how it happens, Chris.
No, I know, but I mean, it's like, okay. What do we have? Why don't we get that today? Is it we just have antibiotics and stuff? Why don't people get?
We don't need to go into the history of that, but yes.
I'm just curious why.
I believe it's. I believe we have
medicine.
better. We have better medicine, medical ways of fixing it than we did back then.
Got it. All
I
right.
mean, just like how we had the talk of
They had it
why they
on-
couldn't take Rufus to a hospital. One, because it's segregation.
Yes.
Two, because the
They weren't
doctors
that
were
good.
terrible back then, especially in African American hospitals. Terrible, because they don't give you the same medicine as you would at a white hospital.
Interesting.
So.
We do have another nod, though, when they first meet Ness, to our using pop culture references as names. So Sean Connery, Kevin Costner, and Robert De Niro, the names for for Lucy Wyatt and Rufus there. And I did like, because I did like the nice touch, because originally they were dressed to go back in the 60s, hijack the lifeboat, now go back in the 30s. And I do like Lucy go, like, we're like historically inaccurate guys.
Oh, that's funny.
We're walking around. What's going on?
Is that a woman's sweater?
I felt
good.
so bad for him, but that was so perfect, because that's just not, they didn't wear sweaters back then, so that was
Rufus is
so
like,
funny.
what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a really cool Cosby sweater. I'm sure.
I mean, Lucy, hers it's wrong, but it works
It works out.
enough.
Yeah, I think
Jeans were different. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I feel like Wyatt and Rufus were in the wrong with their fashion statements more than Lucy. I feel like they were
Lucy
just
could
like,
have been
"Ooh."
like, "Are you from New York or California?" Oh, okay.
Okay.
You just dress different over there.
Well, that's what he
Yeah.
said. He said fruits and
Yeah.
nuts. That's what they
Yep.
call it in California. Yeah.
Oh, New Yorkers. I love it.
But that was funny and entertaining for us. But
I
then they
enjoyed
went
it.
to fake names again, and that was. It's always bad because they go.
Yes.
You just hesitate, and that's when they know you lie.
I love it.
What
though.
was it? Connery and who was the second one? Connery.
It was Kevin
Robert De
Costner.
Niro.
Costner,
Costner.
and De Niro. Yeah.
Trying to think which one looked the least like the name.
Niro? De Niro.
Probably De
Niro.
Niro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right.
Or, well,
Rufus.
I could also think, Costner and Lucy.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
Costner.
Pretty much everybody else except for Wyatt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Wyatt and old Sean Connery. So
You can pull it
young
off.
Sean Connery, I guess.
well,
you
I
would-
could-
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes and no. Ken in the chat room said men's fashion rarely changes. I'd say yes and no. I mean, generally, like pants and tops are similar.
But,
the subtle differences are big enough for them to be like, ooh.
And the fact that,
clothes
like
are
I
weird.
said, but at least in that time in the 30s, they didn't really have knitted sweaters like that. Like they did,
No.
but like they didn't.
Yeah.
They weren't bright. Definitely were not bright colors. Not like that. Like he's wearing what was it, yellow or green?
Oh, it was like a mustard yellow.
Yeah,
It's
that's
bright.
That
most
was
of the
off.
women usually wore really bright colors at this point in time. Men wore the usual beige, black, gray suits, button up, tie,
I
vest.
can't picture any time when that would have really been that in.
The
60s
50s.
and
50s.
Really?
Yeah, I
60s.
mean, if you looked at I
Well,
Dream
they're
of
going
Jeannie,
into
he wore
60s.
yeah,
Yeah.
I Dreamed of Jeannie. He had sweaters all the time at one point too, and sometimes with Ricky and Lucy, sometimes if he was home, he had like a cigar sweater,
sweater
you know,
vest,
yeah,
like,
or something. Yeah, it's just it just back at least in the 30s, that was just kind of on the side to wear a sweater. So. Yeah.
We do find out, though, that with Ness dead, the idea is that we still have to try to stop Capone. Because by stopping Capone, you stop Flynn's plan from whatever it's going to be. So they feel like Lucy knows the person to go, and they go to Richard Hart, who happens to be Al Capone's brother, who...
That was interesting. That's where
Changed his
everybody
name?
went,
Chat room said, somebody was verifying, just in the chat said his brother changed his name and was a
Yes.
Prohibition agent.
I have it here in front of me. His name was James Vincenzo Capone. My favorite thing about this guy, I always mix up both Richard Harts because there was an actor from the same, I think around the same time or maybe a little older, who was an actor in like really crazy films and stuff like that are not like super well known. But James Vincenzo Capone was more of a, the fact that what they brought up in the show where he was like, oh, I wanted to become a cop because of the things that I was hearing from you and just I was never there for you, like that was all true. But I also like the fact that he wanted to be so far away from the name Capone that he actually tried to change his accent. Like he was trying to hide his Italian accent as much as he could and try to keep it in more of an English, not British English, but you know what I mean, accent, so that it didn't show that there was no relation whatsoever. He moved we saw it, he moved like down in the country, like he wanted nothing to do with the name as much as he could, to the point where he was literally trying to change his mannerisms, the way he walked. It was insane. And that's like my favorite thing, was just like, wow, your history is so tainted that you would want to go through so much length, especially in the 30s, to change
Well, it's
your
such
whole
a
entire
famous
life.
person that's
That's doing
notorious.
terrible things.
that's
yeah.
kind of like being the brother of Bin Laden or the son of Bin Laden. You know, it's like,
yeah.
it's that kind of infamy, though, that it carries a lot of stigma.
Although, I mean, it was weird because, as Lucy was saying, he was celebrated by a lot of people in Chicago. So people, he would get...
Well, I mean, because speaking of the musical Chicago murderers and like women who killed their husbands because they were cheating on them, that's hot news. It's just like watching TMZ back then. Like that's just what that was.
Yeah.
You know.
And I do like that Lucy brings up the detail of how Al would place ads in newspapers
that's
trying to
actually
find him.
kinda sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, all over the country.
Mrs. Big Brother.
What's interesting, I mean, criminals, they're not as one-sided either, because you've got the emotional texture and the richness to them in real life. So they're going to have those aspects of them. So a lot of them do charitable works and do things for society that you go, well, shit, they're going to have their fans, you know?
Yeah, and I was wrong. He moved to Nebraska, so it wasn't even just like dead in somewhere in New York. Like he moved to like states. So
I'm out.
he's like, I'm not doing that anymore. He actually ended up dying from a heart attack in Nebraska. He didn't even stay in New York at all.
How old was he?
He was. I
Well,
don't know.
then
Let's
for
find out.
our show, how'd they find him?
Oh, I have no. I guess they went
They
to Nebraska
drove
and
to
went back.
Nebraska?
I guess so. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Chicago
say
to
when he
Nebraska,
died.
not that far, I guess.
Oh, 60. He was 60 years
60
old.
years old.
That's not bad.
Not too
Yeah.
bad.
So they, while they're going to get Richard's help to help them bring in Capone, we find out why Flynn wanted Al's help, and that was to get the mayor of Chicago in. Taken from hanging out with Wrigley, and you brought into chat.
Not gonna lie, I
And
love this scene.
It's great because it
was a
fills in a lot
fantastic scene.
of what happened from last episode when he's talking to the automobile magnate there in Paris. We find out that there is a meeting that happens, and we learn from the mayor every 25 years, every Rittenhouse member gets together to kind of do like almost like a State of the Union, so to speak, of where they are and what they need to accomplish. And the last one was 2 years ago, so 1929. So it happens every 25 years, which means the next one's going to be in D.C. in 1954. And for somebody with a time machine, that's great. Give me a location, give me a
Right.
date. I'll take care of the rest.
The whole scene was fantastic because Flynn was fitting right into Capone's model of the world. He's like like
love-
another brother, you know.
Yeah, and I love that Capone even brought in his own kind of flair where he was like, "You want a bat?" And immediately the mayor's like, "No, okay, whoa." You know, so it also shows how much obviously that Capone. We already knew that Capone already had a footprint in this, but like the fact that he could just bring up a weapon and it was enough to bring a mayor to his knees, like that's insane to me.
And we do see the mayor's eliminated. Another huge ripple in time as well too. I mean that as we also Chavert got killed last week too.
Yeah, I like that
That
we
episode.
actually got that context too
Yes.
of just like we didn't have to see it. It was just like, oh, he died 4 years ago. I wonder why.
Yeah, no, they played that
It
really,
feels
really
like
well.
only yesterday.
Yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, he needs to be stopped. But yeah, it was really cool.
But you got to wonder now is Flynn's methodology really working because he's identifying where in 1954 he knows every Rittenhouse
But
player is
see,
going to be there.
I feel like we could have gotten to this sooner if we weren't just doing like these weird rabbit hole kind of timelines where he's just killing random people at this point and then killing more. I'm like, I feel like you should have found information first, didn't kill anybody, and then find the major players and then do what you're doing now.
Oh wait, you want your character to use logic?
Yeah, I know, that's me. But
Then
I mean,
we wouldn't have a show.
no, and that's why I'm really glad because
Yeah.
I want season 2. I want them
Yep.
to renew it, and I don't mind the crazy rabbit holes. I enjoy it. It's just
Oh
that
yeah,
also,
no, it's been fun for us, the viewer.
I know, I love it, but deep down, I'm just like, be smarter, Flynn. But that's the whole point of the show.
Although it'd be interesting because if they know that the last meeting happened 2 years prior, so 1929, why not go back to that one? Because then Wrigley has all the details of that meeting, exact
Yeah.
times, locations, places, who
But I
was there,
think-
where they were in that building.
Sorry. I think in 1954 there might be more major players, I guess, because I'm
Yeah.
assuming that there's probably a bigger number of people in Rittenhouse now, and maybe
gotta
we might
grow.
be closer.
Or
Yeah,
they're
we might-
closer to present day, so maybe they're
Yeah.
more quintessential people.
Yeah.
True, but I mean, I guess if you're nipping it earlier in the bud,
That's true.
But
No, correct.
wasn't he? Weren't they in Paris
They
recently? Were they
retried
at
it
that
a
date?
long time ago.
I think that's also the thing is that
No, that's 4 years ago.
they've tried it before where they went back as far, like went to literally the first person
Yeah.
who started Rittenhouse,
Yeah.
but it wasn't enough. So I feel like if they try to get everyone in DC, maybe because at this point all those kids from this point in time and grandkids or whatever have now been grown up to be this thing, and maybe
I don't think they care. They wherever they get them, he's got a date. It's like okay,
yeah.
this one's-
But I'm just thinking of it. Why he won't go back is because they already tried that and they messed that up.
maybe he just
Yeah.
wants to go to DC over Paris.
well, true, but also I'm thinking too, like if you could go back 2 years ago, know exactly, because like 1954, that's great. You have a year and you have a city, but you don't have a date exactly. So you've got 12 months, 365 days to figure out when this big gathering is going to
But
go.
in Flynn's case, he's only concerned with his family. You know, it's like he doesn't give a shit if more people died in between.
Well, no, but it just it's
know?
like that's a long
Yeah,
wait.
you need what month?
Yes.
At least 1 month.
At least what month? So that's
Right.
only
Yeah.
30 days. Otherwise, you're waiting a long time to figure out
What time
exactly
of
where
the
this
year?
is.
What time
Yeah.
in spring, winter, summer?
Yes, something
We're
like
gonna try
that.
all the seasons. They're just gonna travel all through 1954.
Well, the
just
spring's
to
nice
find
in
out.
Paris, so if it was in the spring, then you go to Paris.
We can only assume that Flynn has learned some other information before he puts the mayor in the river, in terms of maybe at least
That's true. Maybe a
Yeah.
a
little
month
more.
or something like that, so
Yeah.
that he
Yeah,
has
that's a
something more
long,
to
it's a long
proceed on.
ride to the docks. I feel probably
Yes.
just chat in the car.
But I do like the scene between Capone and Flynn, where it's like, thanks for you did 2 great things for me. I've done you one. I still owe you a favor, and I hate owing people favors.
See, I think that's why. I mean, as terrible as mob history is, and that kind of thing, it also speaks to like
code.
Italian upbringing and things like that. The like, if you do me one, I do you one kind of thing, an eye for an eye. And it's just very interesting when there's a lot. Obviously, there's a bunch of documentaries out there about Al Capone and a bunch of different mobsters back in the day. But just it was all about family. Like I always found that really interesting. I mean, again, they did terrible things, and I don't condone, but like. It's just so cool how their system works out and why you can see how they got
Family
away with
first.
stuff.
Like honor amongst
ins-
thieves, right?
It's insane. I mean, I know that there's been definitely different stories throughout the worldwide, or of like different gangs or different organizations where they did stuff just like that, where they take care of their own. But I don't know what it is about mobster stories. Like
Did you
there's
see
just-
John Wick 2?
Oh yes, I
Yes.
did.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's the same
So
way,
yeah,
right?
but that's what I'm saying, because I saw John Wick 2. I was like, this is cool that you guys have a system. Like
Right.
again, it's still a terrible thing because you're killing people, but like. The organization alone is just fantastic. Because
Yeah.
I'm an organized chaos person. So
Well, because it was cool when finally the brothers reunite and he looks at the scar on his face, and Al tells him the real story, at least in this context, what it was. That then they had the family made him sit down, make peace, and now he's one of his best men. So it's like interesting to go like, even though he's got this scar that he still sits with to this day, it's like, no, we made peace.
Yeah,
we're
we're,
cool.
you know.
Everything's good.
Yep.
Except you call me the stupid nickname, and I hate it. Don't
Yeah.
call me the
I love the fact that, I mean, I don't know if that's actually true. I have to read into more of it, but I think it's interesting that he actually hates the name, even though I think that name is awesome.
Someone brought up Luke Cage, Cottonmouth, hated that.
That's true.
nickname.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
actually true. That makes a lot of sense, you know? So I get that. I mean, it's clearly something that you didn't pick. It's just something that's given to you, and that's going
Right.
to live out through history. But there are some people who are like, that's going to be my name forever, and that's pretty awesome. So I don't know. I found that very,
yeah.
very cool. Also, you didn't know that you got a movie made after you. So, yeah.
That's true. Mine's been Turdy Pants. I've been trying to live that down.
Turdy pants.
Yeah.
Really?
I don't want to get into it.
Because you were
guys.
30 years old?
Dirty 30.
That's right. There you go. We'll size up for a minute to go back to Gia, because Gia's got some stuff going on in this episode too.
Oh, I was having a moment, guys. I was like, oh my gosh. Because you know, like in TV shows where they have like a talk where it's like, be safe, and you're like, oh, I promise I will, you too. And I'm like, oh God, please don't kill Gia off. I don't know if I can
That's
handle
the
that.
horror movie. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
No,
it freaks me
don't
out.
say
And
that.
so, especially when she got in trouble, which I was like, Rufus didn't even think about the fact that Gia could actually be in actual trouble.
She could be in big trouble. I mean, they could kill her. Why would they? What reason do they have not to kill her? Maybe that she can drive the lifeboat, or she's getting toward that, or because
I mean,
you know,
at least for right now, they need her.
they can use her as a pawn to
To get
manipulate
Rufus
Rufus.
big. Yeah, no, that's definitely at least for me. I think that's the only reason why they're keeping her alive. But she is just dancing with the devil on the
Yeah.
very edge there. I feel.
In the pale moonlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm really proud of Gia because like Kari and I
Oh,
were like,
she was
oh my
so
God, you're so
awesome.
cool. But at the same time, I'm like, please be smart. Oh my God, I don't need you gone.
No, because she does have a little moment with Mason where she kind of stands up to him, and
Oh, I
then
hate
he
Mason
says,
now.
like, hey, yeah, this isn't, you can't, the snark isn't working right now.
Yeah, he's gone dark,
This
hasn't
is
he? He's
real
like,
life.
But we've been
Yeah.
talking about how he's been slowly kind of becoming this like not emotionalist robot, but he's getting to the point of just pure evil at this point.
But what do you think about his request for that NSA information?
Okay.
Because that seems to me that could go in the direction where he's playing his own game.
That's what What have I been
Yeah.
saying this entire time? That Mason is going to take over
Rittenhouse,
Rittenhouse. It's going
right.
to happen. 1, 2. Also, I'm sorry if you knew about this entire time. I feel like you could have asked this, but again, as Kari Lane has brought up, we wouldn't have a show. But it was just really frustrating because I'm like, why did you bring this now? Why at the very end? Why? But at the same time,
He's got a bigger play.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I think, and that's why I'm going to stick with my prediction that he's just playing ball. He's just playing the long con, and he's going to get what he wants at the very end.
Yeah, because it feels like I could imagine that he has to wait to a moment like this when it's so critical that Rittenhouse would be at least amenable to hearing the idea.
Yeah, I mean, again,
That's
I
maybe
like
why.
I like the fact that they've decided to take this character who is playing technically a double agent and turning them into this like I'm gonna take over everything. Like it's cool. I'm just like, just get to it already.
Because I feel like as great as his power could be, he can easily turn it against Rittenhouse as well.
Yeah, because
Well-
he's an ambitious guy who's building a time machine,
Yeah.
and he has the same ambitions that Rittenhouse does. It's like, no, I'm building this for me, not you.
I'm very intrigued to see when he has his turning point of just like that full. We will actually see it, where Mason. You actually see his true colors and his true intentions. I'm very excited.
Now,
for
do
that.
we think his intentions are going to be more evil than Rittenhouse's, or?
Heck yeah! I want it.
Well, it's right. It should be more evil because then that's the second season of the show right there.
Yeah,
So
it's
they're
trying to
against
stop
Mason.
Mason, which
Yeah.
would be a crazy threat because he's extremely smart. He has a time machine. He has plenty of money from what we know, and he's just out for whatever we're actually going for that. So
No, it should be interesting.
I like it.
And we get to see Gia put her smarts to use where she assembles her own little makeshift computer.
Not just smart girls, smart tech girls.
That's
no,
right.
we were sitting there just squeeing at the fact that she was just taking parts and putting them together, and I was like, she just made her own computer, like out of just random crap.
Resourceful and level-headed.
Yeah,
and
yes.
not just like, I'm going to sit here. And she was smart with the phone earlier when he came in and she
I
hit
know.
the burner.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she had no time, so...
No, she literally
Yeah.
heard the footsteps coming towards her, so she had to act fast. I mean, I was hoping that
It
she was
was
gonna.
pretty smart,
I thought
though.
she was gonna put it in her sock or something so that she could just walk away. But like,
Yeah.
no, you don't have time for that. And
Yeah.
so, but also you have to be careful because he's been an agent for a long time. So
Yeah.
he's like, all right, if it's not on
I've
you,
seen
it's
it
got to be
before,
around
yeah.
here. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. I really wanted her to retort back when he was like, "You think I was born yesterday?" And she's like, "Clearly not." Like
Yeah.
just for like old age like
Yeah.
retort. And I didn't get that, but I enjoyed her like.
Well, she
I
had
still
that-
have to pee.
Yes, chat room, love that line.
That line was awesome.
Well,
But
she was so good of like dismantling or hiding the computer and sitting there like,
Well, I mean, she was so fast
I've
putting
just
it
been
together.
here.
And it wasn't just, it's not just a computer. Her ability to take everything
Oh,
down
the
from
power
nothing.
off. We all were like,
I was like, just a round of applause, my dear.
But what I liked most about that is that you're writing two characters, Neville and Gia, like at the top of their intelligence for this.
Yeah.
And then seeing that instead of having to write one of them like dumb, like Neville walks around and he doesn't notice the burner.
Right.
You can see like that false kind of suspense that they show.
Yeah, you're
I've
right.
seen it in a lot of shows where they kind of walk around and then, okay, fine, we'll let you
I
go.
walk away now.
Yeah. No,
I'm
but
actually really happy that he caught the phone and was just
no, I
like,
think it's smart.
excuse you, and the fact that she was able to bring it all back around and was like, yeah, you can't stop me.
It's one of those things, though. It was good because it was smart in terms of she tried, it didn't work. Instead of a horror movie where it's like you didn't even try.
Yeah, like she
So-
actually tried to fight for
she
it,
tried
and
to
I think it's
hide it
awesome.
and just found her.
And I also am kind of glad that she wasn't upset with Rufus that he decided to do this whole stunt of just like, I'm gonna take the time machine, bye.
Yeah,
and
it shows
then-
her intelligence. She was smart enough to catch on. It's like, okay, there's
Yeah,
something.
like I'm glad that we didn't have like a love quarrel right then and there on the
that would
phone.
have been dumb. It would have been immature.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, I also don't know how old Gia is off the top of my head. I'm
Right.
assuming that she's at least in her mid-20s or something like that. But like, you never
Sure.
know. There are people who are in their 40s who are immature. Like that's a
Right.
thing, you know. So like, either way, I'm really glad that they decided to keep that instead of being like, I'm mad at you, hang up. You know.
Well, because even at the beginning of the episode, when she tells Rufus, like, he's feeling very North Korean here. Like, so she's somebody that definitely reads the temperature of the room, knows, like, all right, I don't know, I maybe not know everything, but I definitely know enough to know this is not good.
I just like that. That's really nice that we can, to a point, certain episodes can pass like the Bechdel test sometimes because the girls are in the room talking about stuff, but they're not talking about dudes. So most of the time. So yeah, I like that.
So our team finally convinces Richard to go and like, hey, we got to bring your brother in. You got to do this. So we have a little brotherly reunion. Look at that, lots of hugs.
It went down well. I mean, that's why I like the episode overall. I thought the scenes were well acted out. This is a great scene as well.
Yeah, and we find out though that Flynn's last favor that Al Capone would own would be able to kill Rufus.
Oh.
Because if you kill Rufus, then there's nobody to pilot the lifeboat, and they can't track him.
No.
So everybody draws their guns, and Al gambles that family's more important, so that Jimmy won't shoot him, Richard/Jimmy. So nope, Jimmy does shoot Al, but Al also shoots Rufus.
And Wyatt's
perfect.
like, I wasn't fast enough. And you're like, no.
Yeah, so we got Rufus got like a little shot in the belly, which is never good.
Wyatt did not protect him, just
Abdomen
like you
shots
didn't
are
protect
no
me.
good.
Just like you didn't protect me on the show.
Oh, Wyatt, where were you? So they do, as we talked about earlier, do we just keep him here in the 30s? No, that's medically, that's not a sound move. We got to get him back to the present day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know, but I also wanted to, well, certainly given Rufus' estate, you don't have much time to think. He's dying quickly, so you got to get him somewhere fast. So it makes sense to go back to 2017 because everything's probably already reprogrammed to go back to where you originated from. But the also part of me is like, it thought for a moment, like, oh, wouldn't it be better to go back to like 2012 or
Yeah,
something
just
like
go
that?
to another time.
Yeah, so like, that's not that far removed, but you could also be away from Rittenhouse trying to catch you immediately.
It-
Chat
like
room
if they-
said that. They're like, why don't they just go back to a different spot?
Yeah. But
Once they change time, though, doesn't Rufus heal?
No.
No.
Because he wouldn't be
That's
shot
not-
in
if
If you're on the
2000.
lifeboat,
That's not how that
you're
works.
irrelevant to
Yeah.
whatever's happening
Yeah,
in the timeline.
it's one of those things of like, if it was possible, if you die in game, you die outside, kind
Got
of
it.
thing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I could only think the reason they didn't do that is because he's bleeding out. I mean, he passes out in the lifeboat anyway. So to have a chance to actually
Oh my
reprogram
god.
coordinates,
My stomach still hurts.
wouldn't have been able to do it. So yeah, we do get him back in the lifeboat. They start making their destination back, and then he passes out before anything happens.
dun, dun.
So everything's just kind of just spinning there.
Oh my gosh!
That's how we leave it.
The panel can attest. I pretty much was speechless and started to cry like immediately. It was like it was really terrible. So I don't want to talk about it.
Well, we got something to talk about though, Alexis, because next
Okay.
week is the season finale.
I know, but
Oh
I'm
my
afraid.
God.
I mean,
I'm
so
afraid.
I think like this is a good time to actually talk about like predictions, what we think is going to
Predictions.
happen. Yes.
Predict.
Oh my
Now,
god, my
your
eyes.
AfterBuzz TV.
I predict that Abigail Spencer should join us on the show for the finale.
That would be nice. I would also
Heck
like
yes.
Malcolm and everybody else on the show to be here. Just take
Any
up our
of them.
entire
Yeah.
couch.
There
Yeah.
you go.
That would be awesome.
This is a
No, they're
spacious
still in.
couch.
They're in.
They're still in
they're in
Canada.
Canada.
Yeah.
Think so? They filmed the last episode though.
No. Oh, you are
season finale's
correct. They
next
did
week.
say
They
they
should-
finished filming.
I
didn't
mean,
they?
we can give him a call. I mean,
Yeah.
Malcolm,
Should
if
Skype
you're
him.
watching,
He's
hey,
back
help us out.
for his theater,
Malcolm,
right? He's
hey,
got,
what's
his theater's
up?
got some stuff happening.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, again, if you guys are free and in LA, we'd
We'd
love to have you.
on the show.
Or if not, you can Skype in.
Yeah.
That works too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fans, make sure you tweet out at them and tell them to join us for the last show if they can.
Tweet them.
Or send us a handwritten letter, and we'll read it out
Oh,
loud
I'd
here.
like that. Send that or an email. I don't care. Either way, smoke signal. I can read that. I'll make it work.
But basically what we know now is 1954, Washington, D.C., there is a big gathering of Rittenhouse. Flynn knows the city, he knows the time. He's got some kind of plan to stop something, and we know our team's got to go and try to stop it as well.
I'm trying to figure out how they were able to get to go back out and figure out what was going on, or how to go back and get Flynn, because obviously when they get back they're going to be in a load of trouble, so I'm trying to figure out
How they leave again.
how they're going to be able to go back. My prediction is that if Mason goes down the dark side of that route, I feel like he's going to be the one that shoots. I keep wanting to call him Bobby, but that's not his name on the show. Our agent, I forgot his name.
Wyatt.
No,
Oh, wait, which one?
No.
the bad
new-
guy.
Oh, Flynn?
No.
Oh, wait.
NSA.
Oh, NSA. Oh, Jake Neville.
Yes,
Neville.
thank you.
I was no,
yeah,
Neville.
I couldn't remember what it was because
I
I want to
had-
call him Bobby because that's his character on Supernatural.
But he's so different. You can't.
Oh yeah, I know. It's
like,
really hard to hate Bobby.
That's
so
what
it's,
someone
it's
exactly
awkward.
said in the
No,
chat. Yeah.
that's I agree completely. But no, I think that Mason's gonna there's gonna be a moment where they're like all in the room at the very end. They're like, we did it, we stopped Flynn, and then all of a sudden Mason just turns and shoots Neville.
Yes.
And it's just like, well,
Maybe.
I've been
Dun,
behind.
dun, dun.
I've been behind this
But
entire
then
time.
if he's gone, yeah, Mason would take
Yeah,
over.
no,
and
I
he'd
feel
be
like-
a problem as well.
No, I feel like he's like I said, he's always been a step ahead. We just didn't know about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's just my prediction.
Is there any possibility of Mason and Flynn being in anything together?
I don't know. I mean,
they did show a lot of the first episode, so maybe he was the one that let them take the time machine.
Would there be any reason? I wonder.
Just no, because Mason is just power hungry,
Right.
and Flynn's just like, I want to get rid of Rittenhouse, so I'm gonna help
But if
you.
Flynn,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
What do you
still
think?
think Lucy and Wyatt will not hook up yet.
that's-
No,
I'm
I
fine
think
with
we're
that.
gonna-
Those of you in the chat room rooting for him.
Yeah.
Sorry, but no.
No, I can definitely see what you're saying though. Wyatt, Mason could be playing the really long game. So
Yeah.
assuming a position of weakness by losing the mothership to Flynn, that just kind of plays like the weak toady to everybody until
Rittenhouse is taken out.
Sorry, I just thought about how the fact that if they did kiss at the last episode, you'd be like, what the heck?
Damn, nabbit. Some people in the chat room, which pointed out, did somebody catch that they called out Singer?
Oh yeah, I was dying. It was on the inside, guys. I was squeaking like a fangirl on the inside.
What this? I
Bobby,
missed that.
it's Bobby Singer is his full name.
Okay.
Who yelled Singer then?
It was the actor who plays Bobby Singer.
I know, but
Jad Neville.
But why'd he say it? I missed why.
He was grabbing another agent who was named Singer.
Oh.
Yes, okay.
that's why I
There
thought
we
it
go.
was
So I was like, I thought I heard it, but then I'm like, I
Yeah,
missed
well, that's
how-
why I think it's funny also is because his best friend on Supernatural.
inside joke.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's also cool because he said the word he said Rufus's name, and Rufus, the character name, is also a character name in Supernatural who was his best friend. So I think it's really funny hearing him go like, "Oh, where's Rufus?" And I'm like, so yeah, so there's a lot of Supernatural jib jabs, and I appreciate it. But yeah, I don't think Neville's gonna last this next episode. He's gonna die.
All right.
Do we think it's gonna be cliffhanger or
Yes.
not?
They have to
Yes.
make it
Yeah.
somewhat
Yes.
of a
It has
cliffhanger.
to
Can't
be
wrap
cliffhanger.
everything up. No.
I mean, unless we know for a fact that we're not getting a season 2, which I highly doubt because this show has so many fans. I know we're gonna get one.
Yeah, they want to give you a sense of completion,
Keep
but a
tweeting,
big
guys,
sense of
to them.
incompletion as well.
Yeah, the writers and I believe the actors are using the hashtag Renew Timeless. I believe that's what they're using. So obviously use that to make sure that everybody sees it. And I know that Kripke did tweet out about the fact that the ratings of actual live watching has been low. I don't know if it's changed since that tweet, but
So if you're tweeting to Abigail and Matt and Malcolm to come on the show, include that hashtag Renew
yeah,
Timeless
and obviously our hashtag too, the ABTV
and our
Timeless.
AB Timeless, and
and
that'll
then
be
if you
next
still
week.
have
Yeah.
space, timeless, because then it's nice to see when it's trending on Twitter.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yay,
So
good job, guys.
All right,
Nice.
so before we wrap it up, real quick, we'll go around. Two questions. Do you think Rittenhouse is stopped? Do you think Flynn survives?
Ooh,
ooh, good
God,
question.
yeah, go with her first.
I don't. I think Rittenhouse is still there, but I think it's gonna be has a new leader, which is Mason.
Okay.
But I think he's gonna change it in a different way of not like just taking over like certain things. I think he wants to literally rule time. Period. I don't know how,
Right.
but just like in that aspect of just like he wants to control it in his way, shape, and form. That's not government wise. Flynn, I don't know if he should survive. Not saying that I want him to die, but I don't know what you could do with him after this besides team up.
Yeah.
That's about it in my head. Is that they would have to deal with having to have a new teammate and have to work through all the crap they just went through in season 1.
Right.
Oh, they won't trust him though either.
No, I know, but then they're gonna
But
have
that's
to
part of that
because
dynamic,
technically he
yeah.
has like the journal and he knows a lot more about Rittenhouse than they do, and they're like, we don't know who to trust, and he's like, you gotta trust me, and it's gonna be terrible,
Yeah.
but also awesome. So
It'll make
but
for
that-
good drama.
yeah, it'd be good drama. But I don't know. I don't know if we should have him alive or if we should keep him.
I know it's tough to say.
Okay,
Kari?
I don't think Rittenhouse is done, but yeah, I think it will change. And I almost had this idea of not like letting Flynn go, but he'll get away.
Ooh, maybe he can just be in like maybe they capture him and they have to like ask him like interrogate him
Yeah.
sometime through the season.
They have
So
to
he's
work
not
with
gone.
him.
Like,
he's
yeah,
there.
I don't think he's like done, and I don't think he's gonna join the team. So
Yeah,
it'd be
he's just
something
somewhere in the
more
middle.
like, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a Loki situation where
Yeah.
they kind of lock him up and use him for
Right.
information.
A Loki.
Nice.
Yeah, like Loki.
Loki.
Oh yeah.
There
Okay,
you go.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chris Howard?
What do I think? No, those are both very interesting. So I agree with that. I think if they could incorporate Flynn somehow on the team, and where he becomes kind of an alliance, but I can't see that Rittenhouse gets totally written out of the picture yet.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they're just too powerful. They've been around for far too long. Their tentacles are far too deep. And so, but maybe if they have two enemies, Mason and Rittenhouse, I don't know. I don't know.
It could go either way, man.
Yeah.
No, I feel like I do agree with the Rittenhouse, and it just seems like there's so many. I feel like there's only so many times you can go to the well where we find like essentially the origin point of Rittenhouse, and we try to stop it and we failed. Then we find out about this big gathering they do every 25 years, and we're going to try to stop that. Whether it succeeds or fails, we'll find out next episode. But there's only so many of those kind of like tipping points in time that you can go to.
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
feel like that kind of that's going to be kind of
Well,
tiresome.
if it's the
always there.
finale next week, we know they're meeting in 1954, so we're going to 1954.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to,
Yeah.
let's say if we went on the broad spectrum, I know we don't have a lot of time, but if we went on like the really far spectrum of like Rittenhouse did end, we fixed
Right.
it. What if history has changed so much from all their antics that history is just absolutely worse than what it was when Rittenhouse was going? So
It becomes a mess.
Yeah.
And Mason
Because then it'd be
remains.
ironic.
Yeah, then that, the fact that they were like, we were trying
Yeah.
to save time, and then they actually ruined it
Yeah, I
more
mean-
because there's so much evidence of them being in time so much because they've used their real names
Something,
and
yeah.
they've used their fake names. They've been photographed several times.
Yeah.
I mean, again, they can't go back to those same spots, but maybe they can go in a little earlier
But
or
it-
a little bit later.
It
and
could
try to
actually
fix it.
become a dystopian future
Yeah.
as a result
Yeah.
of Rittenhouse disappearing.
Yeah, so let's say maybe Gia disappears, and like so Rufus is now on that boat of he's missing a person, so then he
Yeah.
would be on
Ooh,
board with
he hasn't
everybody.
lost anybody
He
yet.
hasn't technically because he's mostly just been on. He's mostly almost died several times.
That would be fascinating because the show could change so much if that happened.
and
if
that's
it
what I'm
was-
saying.
yeah,
If they decided to go that
which
route.
would be great for a second season.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I think if they kept Rittenhouse or they decided to get rid of it and make a whole different big bad, I think the show would still
nice,
do
yeah.
great. You know?
All right, so I will call. We kind of speculated about this last week, but I will say the last shot of next week's episode will be them realizing they're in the future at some point.
Ooh.
So that could be cool.
Yes, whether it's a pan of a city and you see it's in the future, or somebody says they meet an older version of somebody they already know and says, no, it's 2048. Then you're like, uh-oh.
Or what if they get stuck in the past like Sullivan? And they can't
Is it-
get back?
I like his, the 2048
No, I think
dystopian,
going- yeah.
torn apart,
Yeah.
wrecked society, and Mason's in charge.
Yeah, I just think because they teased at the fact that Sullivan was in the past for a long time, they could technically get stuck. But I mean, that means that they would get stuck in 1954.
Not a bad place to get.
No.
But yeah, but how much can happen in 1954 for a...
No,
for-
you're right. I'm
yeah.
just saying that they would have to try to figure out how to get out. This again,
Yeah.
there's so many ways.
Man, there are a lot of theories, and folks, we want to hear your theories as well too. So feel free to tweet us as well, or leave those theories in the comments below. Because I know Kari Lane likes to relax and unwind with a nice glass of wine and read these comments. So yes. So folks, like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars on iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and thanks everybody for hopping in the chat, sharing your theories. We'll see you next week. But if you want to continue the conversation with us even after the show's over, Chris.
At Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram.
Nice.
And you can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE.
And you can find me all over all social media platforms at aTorres890. That's ATORES890.
There you go. R.I.P. Misha Collins in Timeless.
Yeah.
You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Folks, we'll see you next week
Bye,
for the
guys.
season
See ya.
finale of Timeless.
Woo!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.